Everyone knows this is probably the toughest golf course in the world right now. You have to hit fairways, you have to hit greens, and you have to two-putt at worst. When you've got putts inside 10 feet, you've got to make them. It's a great test of golf, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure everyone else is too. The person who wins this week is going to hit a lot of fairways and make a lot of putts. A single comment from Bryson DeChambeau sent shockwaves through the golf world. What looked like an offhand remark is actually a calculated challenge to the rules, authority, and long-held traditions of the sport. Behind it lies a story about power, legacy, and influence that few are talking about. Before Bryson lit the fuse, golf existed in a strange hush-a-polite, uneasy quiet masking a deeper fracture. Ever since that headline-shaking Tuesday in May 2024, when the PGA Tour and LIV Golf announced their framework agreement, fans were told peace had arrived. But the truth was far more delicate. The deal froze lawsuits, yes, but it didn't heal loyalties or unify visions. Tradition and disruption simply agreed to stop throwing punches, not to stand together. It's been an amazing year. So grateful to have won the US Open, worked hard to win at Pinehurst, and have been playing some good golf after that. Still fine-tuning, working hard on my game. Played well this year in the majors, didn't get across the line at the Masters or the PGA. Won in Korea, it's just been a lot of fun. And the fan support, even out here this week, is already crazy and I love them. The PGA Tour moved forward with its calendar, but every tournament felt like it was shadowed by unfinished business. Committees met behind closed doors. Negotiations leaked in whispers, and every rumor added pressure to a system already buckling. LIV Golf, meanwhile, staged its own spectacle louder crowds. Bigger purses and broadcasts built around personality. But regardless of how electric the competition looked, its players operated in a strange limbo. Their wins counted for pride, not for the world-ranking metrics that decide majors, Olympic spots, and Ryder Cup eligibility. Into this split-stepped a different Bryson DeChambeau. The same player once dismissed as the scientist, a walking equation, where the driver had reinvented himself on the live circuit. As captain of Crushers GC, he wasn't tinkering in silence anymore. He became a performer, a leader, a driver of storylines. Lee's newfound freedom let him speak more boldly, embrace showmanship, and play a brand of golf that matched his personality. And the results backed the theatrics. Towering drives, consistent contention, and a team built around his intensity. By the start of 2025, Bryson wasn't just another headline within the live ecosystem. He was one of its defining force. It's a symbol of the shift. A disruptor who had grown comfortable carrying the noise around him. And with the Ryder Cup inching closer, every comment, every appearance, every hint felt heavier. Under the surface, the entire sport simmered. Fans sensed the tension. Players worked around it. Executives tried to contain it. All it needed was someone willing to strike the match. Bryson made sure he was the one to do it. The Rebels' spark the moment arrived quietly. Packaged as another routine bit of tournament week chatter, the kind of exchange where players usually revert to safe language and familiar cliches. But Bryson DeChambeau had no interest in maintaining that veneer. His delivery was calm, almost understated, yet unmistakably deliberate. He wasn't offering speculation about team dynamics or tiptoeing around selections. Instead, he stepped directly into one of golf's most insulated traditions, the Ryder Cup. He didn't escalate. He didn't dramatize. Bryson simply articulated what he saw as an undeniable imbalance that Tyler Gooch, fresh off a blistering year as the 2023 LIV Golf champion, wasn't just slipping through the cracks. He was being structurally shut out. Gooch's streak of wins, top finishes had formed one of the most reliable statistical profiles in American golf. Yet the official World Golf Ranking treated those results as invisible. No points, no upward movement, no opportunity to convert dominance into selection. In Bryson's view, this wasn't a clerical oversight. It was a systemic tilt-a-barrier, erected not by performance, but by allegiance. What gave his comments their weight wasn't the tone, it was the math. Gooch's numbers compared favorably, and sometimes decisively, to several automatic PGA Tour qualifiers. Yet because his success came from outside the established pipeline, his chances of representing the United States were evaporating in real time. Bryson framed this not as a personal grievance, but as a broader indictment, the idea that a sport defined by merit had allowed politics to outrank results. The golf world paused. His statement wasn't merely a defense of a teammate. It was a challenge to the unspoken hierarchy that had governed the Ryder Cup for generations. For decades, the event functioned as an unofficial extension of the PGA Tour. And Bryson had just questioned whether that boundary still served the modern game. Suddenly, the division in professional golf felt sharper. Those aligned with 54 heard validation. Traditionalists bristled at what sounded like an attack on legacy, and anyone tracking the build-up to the Ryder Cup could sense the pressure rising. The conversation Bryson sparked didn't fade, spread, ranking revolt when Bryson launched his critique. The debate shifted from polite disagreement to a confrontation with the very architecture of professional golf. His commentary didn't merely highlight Gooch's statistical merits or question the procedural fairness of selection. It challenged the legitimacy of the official world golf ranking itself, the system that had quietly dictated careers, prestige, and access for decades. Bryson positioned himself not as a complainer, but as an interrogator of authority, placing a mirror up to a system long treated as infallible. In doing so, he reframed the conversation. This was no longer a debate about one player's merits. It was a debate about who gets to define excellence. I still want to win majors. That's still the most important thing in my career. Bryson's criticism was precise and unflinching. He labeled the OWGR outdated, biased, and incapable of accounting for the evolving landscape of professional golf, particularly the emergence of a league operating outside traditional frameworks. According to him, Gooch's rank wasn't a reflection of skill, but of exclusion, a product of institutional inertia resisting acknowledgement of new realities. The implications were profound. Rankings once assumed neutral were revealed as instruments of control, shaping legacy as much as measuring performance. The fallout was immediate and polarized. Fans and pundits erupted online, some praising Bryson as a necessary disruptor, others condemning him as a rebel, leveraging influence for personal gain. The debate transcended individual players, touching on deeper questions. What truly defines a world-class golfer? Is it loyalty to established tours or measurable performance? And ultimately, is the Ryder Cup about preserving tradition or honoring merit? Bryson's intervention forced golf to confront its own contradictions, transforming the tournament into a crucible for the sport's evolving identity. Tradition. Tremble's the response to Bryson's challenge was swift, sharp, and uncompromising, the kind of pushback only golf's established guard can deliver. Tradition, long the unspoken authority in the sport, flexed its muscles immediately. Players, analysts, and retired legends who live and breathe decades of PGA history framed Bryson's stance as entitlement disguised as critique. You left the system, they seemed to say. Now bear the consequences. Their reaction was blunt, almost surgical in its clarity. No nuance, just a stark reminder that choices carry costs. I'm just experiencing what the fans are giving me. I mean, it's so much energy. The only reason I'm still here with this much energy is because of them. Even last week in Virginia, the crowds were really great and pumping me on. Am I tired? For sure. But am I excited? I'm more excited than I am tired. To the old guard, Bryson and Gooch were not victims of exclusion. They were architects of their own separation. Departure from the PGA Tour meant stepping outside its established structures, forfeiting built-in pathways. And the conventional roadmap to the Ryder Cup? Signing multi-million-dollar live contracts was a conscious trade-off. And by publicly questioning the system afterward, Bryson triggered a tension that felt both ironic and unavoidable. Critics framed it as a paradox. The very rebels who walked away were now demanding inclusion on merit alone, challenging the principles they had ostensibly abandoned. But beyond rules and rankings, the issue cut deeper. The Ryder Cup is built on shared history. camaraderie forged over seasons of competition, and a cultural continuity that underpins team cohesion. Dropping players who existed outside that ecosystem into an event defined by trust, loyalty, and collective identity risked fracturing the subtle chemistry that fuels. Performance tradition wasn't merely resisting. It was grappling with a collision of principles: merit versus loyalty, fairness versus precedent, integration versus legacy. Golf had no roadmap for reconciling these pillars when they collided, and the sport felt the tremor in every corner of its carefully curated world. At the eye of the storm stood Keegan Bradley, newly appointed captain of the 2025 U.S. Ryder Cup team, embodying a silence that spoke louder than any argument. In a week defined by controversy, Bryson's outspoken critique had set the world ablaze. Yet Bradley's measured inaction became its own form of commentary. No rebuttal, no concession, not even a hint of acknowledgement. His restraint carried the weight of history, tradition, and authority. In that quiet, the sport heard more than words ever could. Just throw everything out the window and call it a day. No, I still use a lot of the basics. But putting is usually a difficult thing for me to control speed-wise, and we did a good job of that this week. I barely three-putted, and that was my goal going into it. Coming back next year, that's another goal of mine. If I can keep doing that and give myself a better chance with the new golf ball. Hopefully, with some flighted shots, give myself a chance to win the claret jug. Bradley personifies the traditionalist wing of American golf loyalty, coded into every decision. A career shaped by the PGA Tour's rigorous pathways, and an ethos that prizes patience, grit, and unbroken allegiance. His appointment as captain was more than ceremonial. It was a signal that the old guard remained firmly in control, that the rules, culture, and values of the established tours still define the boundaries of inclusion. When Bryson demanded a seat at the captain's table for Gooch, Bradley faced an impossible calculus. Agree, and he risks alienating those who remained loyal. Refuse, and he could be framed as inflexible, a barrier to evolution. His silence resolved nothing outwardly, yet communicated everything. The burden of reintegration rested entirely on the players. The authority of tradition was non-negotiable, and the Ryder Cup's eternal deliberations would remain veiled. Each hour of quiet expanded the gulf between PGA loyalists and LIV insurgents, revealing that in golf, sometimes inaction speaks with far more force than even the loudest protest. As the initial shock of Bryson's intervention began to settle, a weightier, more consequential truth emerged. He had just put his legacy on the line. Not a single tournament, not a fleeting headline, his entire standing in the annals of American golf by challenging the system, questioning the selection process, and demanding recognition for Gooch and his peers. Bryson transformed a roster debate into a referendum on the sport's very identity. Every argument, every media frenzy, every fan reaction became part of a larger reckoning. If his push succeeds, if the system bends and LIV players are fully integrated, Bryson ascends as the revolutionary architect of a new era. The disruptor who insisted that merit, performance, and modern realities take precedence over entrenched politics. His name would be remembered not merely as a champion on the course, but as a figure who expanded the boundaries of inclusion and challenged golf's long-standing orthodoxy. But the alternative is equally stark. If tradition maintains its fortress, Bryson risks becoming the cautionary emblem of ambition misaligned with opportunity. Talent forced to watch from the sidelines as the stages where legends are forged remain closed. A poignant reminder of how challenging the old order can come at a personal cost. Every decision, every tee shot, every roar and jeer at the 2025 Ryder Cup will resonate with the question he exposed: who truly owns this game? The loyalists who stayed, or the rebels who dared to leave? Bryson's move didn't create the fracture, it revealed it, placing the sport on a delicate, consequential knife's edge. And as the countdown to Bethpage ticks louder, one thing is clear: the Ryder Cup will never be just the Ryder Cup again. Bryson DeChambeau lit the fuse, and the sport is still glowing from the blast. The only question now is which side of the line American golf will stand on when the smoke finally clears.